Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. Well, it's Valentine's Day, and I've been single for almost 20 years now, and that's all the celebration you're going to get out of me today. Bah humbug. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman, and instead of sulking, I'm going to do this show. And that's how it's going to go. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio. All one word. I'd appreciate that. You can also follow me on social media over here on the correct side. Okay. All right. I think I figured how to silence my. I think I figured it out how to silence my cell phone. Yeah. Why do I keep getting car ads? You'd think with all the data they collected on me, they know I can't afford a car. Anyway, so I wanted to follow up a little bit on last week's show because there are some people who had some questions. Like, is that all you did? All you got is like the camping without backcountry permit, the cigarette butt is like. It's like, you never got a speeding ticket? It's like, yeah, of course I got a speeding ticket. You know, so there's a couple of crimes I've committed in the past that I forgot to mention. There's a couple times I got a speeding ticket. I think I got one on 95 coming to or from Hampton Roads to Fredericksburg, and one on 64. same route. You know, I've traveled that corridor a lot back in the day. And so, of course, I mean, doesn't everybody get speeding tickets? Everybody? If you are, you don't care if you're late. And you're a bad person. People should be on time. So, yeah, I also got, I forgot to mention the urinating in public I got in Virginia Beach. Coming out of a bar, Virginia Beach, and my friends and I are like about to get in the car and drive back to Norfolk, and that's it takes a little while. So we're like, I'm going to have to piss before we go back. A couple of my friends, luckily we had a designated driver who wasn't drinking. And so we just started whizzing, and this female cop on a bicycle comes yelling, screaming at us. And like, guys, there's a porta potty right over there. And yeah, I got urinating in public. So forgot to mention that. Just a little bit of follow up from last week. Yeah. So I want to tell a story about my dad. My dad went shopping a few days ago, and what happened there has been boggling my mind ever since. My dad had a shopping list, and he went to the grocery store, and he got a shopping cart, went and started picking up a bunch of stuff, got like most of the way through his list, and he goes, oh, I need to get something in the aisle, so he leaves his shopping cart, and he turns around the corner, goes and gets the product he was looking for, gets it, and goes back to the cart, and the cart is gone. All right. Now, my dad's in his mid-70s, all right? But he's not at the point where he's like, you know, he wanders places or anything like that. He's not Joe Biden in any way, you know, where he will forget stuff. He's not at that point. So I'm just wondering what the hell happened. But I want to acknowledge that the simplest explanation could be that an old man simply forgot that he even had a shopping cart, you know, or forgot where he put the shopping cart. All right, that's the easiest explanation, but I trust my dad. I believe him when he says that he thinks somebody stole his shopping cart. So I started thinking, it's like, who could this have possibly been? Maybe it could have been a worker, all right? Maybe it could have been what are they called? Shark narcs? What are they called? Shoot, what are they called? The cart narcs. You have that? Yeah. I forgot it. I picked out the image and everything because I'm going to talk about these guys. Forgot the name. It's like the cart narcs guys. They don't come in there and they steal like other people's carts. All right. I don't think they actually come in the store. I think if they did come in the store, that'd be a legal issue. So, I mean, it's, I'm wondering maybe an employee of the grocery store said, oh man, another old person came in here, filled a cart with some stuff and wanders off. And it makes me wonder, does that happen often in grocery stores? Do employees come across like a half-filled shopping cart and be like, half-filled shopping cart and say, oh, I guess I got to put all the stuff back. Some old person came here, filled a cart, and walked off. Does that happen a lot? And so I can imagine some employee taking the cart and like going back and restocking all the inventory. But at the same time, my dad told me, it was like, because of the cart was gone, he was like, so he had to go get another cart and go through the list all over again. So if he went and did that, it's likely he would have run across that employee putting back the same items that he had taken left in his other cart. Do you see what I'm getting at? So I don't think it was an employee. All right. And the other, like, the next, like, possibility, I think, I went all Hardy Boys on this. All right, the next possibility is that some guy was, like, running into the store real quick, and he's thinking shampoo and toothpaste. He's listening to a podcast in his earbuds, stuff like that. And he's like, okay, I got the shampoo, toothpaste right there. Okay, I got the toothpaste. I'm about, his phone rings. He picks up on this Bluetooth. You go, yeah, babe. And it's like, oh, honey, there's a few more things that I need you to get. And he stops and just turns around, starts walking around. It's like, all right, what else do we need? And there's a shopping cart, like, in the middle of nowhere. And she starts listing stuff on the list that she needs. And he's looking at the shopping cart and is like, it's all there. It's all there. Well, not the Metamucil, you know, it's because that's the point. It's like my father's shopping list is like half normal stuff and half like old people stuff. So I wonder if some guy's like, well, this covers everything I need, babe. I just don't need the Metamucil and the Ben Gay. And he put that on a shelf and just ran off with the cart. It was like Providence did shopping for me. It could have been something like that. For all we know. But what kind of person would do that? What kind of person would steal a shopping cart? And that's the point, I think, is like, if it wasn't an employee, what kind of person would steal a shopping cart mid-shopping? Because the only explanation for an employee would be like, oh, just some half-filled shopping cart laying around. It may not even be just old people. It could be like junkies and so forth. They do this stuff, you know. So I mean, it really kind of baffled me. It's like, what the mystery of my dad's shopping cart? I mean, no, it's one of those things like I'm trying to get to sleep and then could it have been? Wait, no, that doesn't make sense because it doesn't make sense. Like I said, there's a simple explanation. I probably covered it right at the beginning, but I don't want to think that about my dad. I mean, but he's never, you know, I believe him. But simplest explanation, most of. Anyway, enough about that. Want to hear about a dream I had? What's up, man? Got fans showing up all the time. You know how it is. All right, you can get rid of that cart narcs guy. I just use them I was trying to find pictures of shopping carts. None of them fancied me. None of them tickled my fancy. Anyway, let's talk about a dream I had. Yeah, all right. I had a dream. I was on a plane. And I was sitting there getting ready for a flight. I'm already on the plane. I'm in the back. I'm in coach. I settled in my seat, and all these passengers start filing in and stuff like that. And I see in the distance Gavin McInnes getting on the plane. I'm like, oh my God, Gavin McInnes is getting on the plane. And I'm like staring at him as he's coming down the aisle. You know, he's got a scowl on his face, pushing past all these people, and, you know, finally gets to his seat. And he's not sitting next to me, he's sitting near me, right? And I'm staring at him. And finally, he, like, glares back at me and is like, what the hell you want? And I say something stupid like, I like your new sunglasses. And then he's like, oh, I thought you were somebody who hated me. I was like, no, man, I love your stuff. And so we're sitting there, like, kind of shouting, you know, little things to each other. And, you know, he asked the person next to him, would you mind switching seats with that guy over there so I could talk to him and bother him instead of you? And it was a woman. And she's like, yes, absolutely. So this woman switches seats with me, and I'm sitting next to Gavin McInnes in coach. And I'm like, hell yeah, he smells like whiskey. I stink like beer, right? And so we're sitting there, we're talking, we're having a conversation. And as soon as that drink cart comes by, he's like, 2 makers for him, 2 makers for me. I'm like, oh, am I going to have any? And he's like, yeah, I'll let you have one. I was like, okay. So we're sitting there like drinking Maker's Mark on a coach flight. having the time of our lives, cracking jokes, people are pissed off at us because of how loud and raucous we are. And I'm thinking, this is the best dream ever. I'm going to hang out with Gavin McInnes on a plane. Then all of a sudden, this female pilot's voice comes over. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to fasten your seatbelts and so forth. And like the plane starts shaking. It's like, flight attendants get to you're like, oh no. It's Gavin and I are just sitting there talking. It's like, don't you hate being right about things, Gavin? And he's like, oh, I friggin' hate it. And so we're strapped together in this plane that's hurtling to the earth to our doom. And Gavin McInnes and I die in a fiery plane crash because of incompetence. Because of the incompetence in like the aviation industry. And obviously this dream means I'm watching way too much Gavin McInnes. But I mean, also it's kind of an interesting thing. It's like what I would think would be a great time and how my mind would say, let's just throw a little irony on this to boot. It's one of those dreams. You have any those dreams where you die and you're okay with it, I don't know why EK laughed, but I'm serious. It's like, because I remember being like, when I was like a teenager and the testosterone was going, I'd have a lot of these like hero dreams, you know what I mean? Where I get killed doing something heroic and, you're okay with it. And, I don't know. I guess every kid who read too many comic books was like that. But I mean, I don't know. It's like, I was okay with dying that way just for the irony of it. And that somehow like my smushed body parts would be next to Gavin's smushed body parts. They might bury bits of me with him and bits of him with me. Believe me, these are not the thoughts that most people have when they wake up out of a dream first thing in the morning. And this is, I call that Tuesday. Anyway, enough of that. So I'm going to talk about movies in general for a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about a specific movie to kind of like, balance things out. The first movie I watched this weekend, I'm just going to talk briefly about it. I'm not going to rate it at all. It's not really worth it. It's like saying so-and-so's cover of that song is better. No. I hate that. I watched Total Recall, the new Total Recall, and it's terrible. It's so terrible. And the reason why I thought it was terrible is that it's like, I feel like we've been here before, and showing it in a different way, with a different, aesthetic doesn't really make it, a good film on its own right. There was nothing wrong with the old Total Recall. Those old practical effects in movies people are nostalgic for that now. People are getting like CGI fatigue. So people are like, they like those practical effects. And there was a reason why Quentin Tarantino did that, like those Grindhouse movies and doing like the Death Proof, all those stunts with the cars. He did that, that's practical effects. And people are hungry for it now because CGI is taking over. There's too much going on with the CGI. We're unimpressed with it these days. And so that's why the original Total Recall was better, because of those B-movie special effects, that we all loved. And it made added to the feel of the entire experience. And when a movie is that good, like the original Total Recall, when a movie is that good, there is no reason to recreate it. There's no reason to recreate it. It even bothers me when they do all these sequels. Like, I made the mistake of watching Divergent, a movie I will never talk about on the show. You ever seen Divergent? It's
terrible.
It's awful. It could have been good.
People really liked it.
Yeah, and people really liked it for some reason. Teenagers, I imagine. All right. And so I made the mistake of watching that, and then after that, I get the 2 or 3 next movies they made in it. It's all Hunger Games now. We got the Hunger Games. We got this commercial intellectual property, and we're gonna squeeze every ounce of money out of it. It's the same thing. Harry Potter movie, squeeze the money out of it. Squeeze it and squeeze it and squeeze it until it stops shitting money. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with the Star Wars movies. It's the same thing with the Marvel movies. You keep trying to recycle the same property. And it irritates the hell out of people who really love movies, because I would rather you come out with, like DC Films would come out with a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold movie before they come out with another Batman movie. And you know what? They're always thinking of the next Batman movie. It's like there's so many other great characters and stories that you can work with when it comes to great films. And so when I think of people who are remaking films like Total Recall or Willy Wonka, RoboCop, I watched that again recently. That is also terrible. What's wrong with the originals? You just you keep squeezing money out of the franchise, and it makes the franchise disgusting and and fallow, I suppose is the word. Instead, come up with new stories, new characters, new Jack Burtons. There doesn't necessarily need to be a series of Jack Burton films, even though I would like to see it. Even though I could make a prequel or a sequel to Jack Burton, just recast it, obviously. No offense, Kurt Russell. I know you're still around, but no offense.
Big Trouble in West Philadelphia.
Big Trouble in West Philadelphia. There you go. You got your ethnic right there.
You pair him up with Will Smith.
No, it is Will Smith.
Except you pair him up with it.
Anyway, that's EK with his ideas. He always derails me. They squeeze the franchise dry. They come up and they need to. I mean, are you having trouble coming up with new characters? You having trouble coming up with new scenarios? I could come up with one right now. There's this bodyguard. He works for a mob boss, and the mob boss runs prostitution, and works in these strip clubs. And he falls in love with this one stripper, and this one stripper is getting beat up by the guy's son. So this guy goes off on a vigilante rampage and starts killing all these bad people in town, just to avoid getting killed after doing that first kill. Next thing he knows, he's taking out all the crime in town. How about that?
Sounds like John Wick, but the dog is his...
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. It's like, that's what's wrong with movies. It's like, the guy's fighting for his dog. It can never be for the girl. He can't be saving a girl. He has to be saving a dog. All right? And they've taken all the masculinity. It's like, that's the thing. It's the knight on a horse with a sword and drawn, storming the castle to rescue the princess. It's Mario Brothers. It's what men are supposed to do as heroes. And it's the archetype, and you've changed it, and you mutilated it, and you wrung everything out, of the same intellectual property over and over and over again. Everything's got to tie into the other movies, and nothing can be its own independent story anymore. And so the whole point, like, we don't see you doing this. The whole point of that is so they can point you to our series and say, all the questions that you saw in the films can be answered in the series if you just subscribe to our network for $29.95 a month. It's Valentine's Day. I'm pissed off. All right. I'm going to talk about a movie I hate. See if I can bring the energy up a little bit. Bring some positive vibes. Because I know a lot of people have a lot of fond memories of the 2001 movie A Knight's Tale. And I hate this movie. It is so terrible. EK's already angry. First of all, this spider face girl, why was she ever cast in anything? Is she supposed to be good looking or something? I don't know why she ever got cast in a good looking girl. She is weird looking. I know I went off about Emma Stone, but this chick makes Emma Stone look like a normal human being. And if you look at like the other, like there's a girl who plays a blacksmith, and she's like I'm the dirty blacksmith girl. I know all the things about armor and fighting and stuff like that. I'm a practical woman. I live in a practical world, and I'm way better looking than this. What's her name? Shannon Sossamon. The only movie I've ever seen her in that I liked was called Rules of Attraction. And that's just because it's a really good script. Really good movie. Unlike this movie, A Knight's Tale. All right. I remember when I first saw it in the theaters, and my friends were like, let's go see A Knight's Tale. I was like, I like swords. I like medieval stuff. I like jousts and stuff like that. Okay, let's go see it. And as soon as the We Will Rock You started, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I felt dirty. I felt like I just walked out of a whorehouse. You know what I mean? And my blood started boiling from that point forward. All right. I'm just going to talk about my first experience right now. And I'm going to talk about the last time I watched it as well. All right. And I hated it. I couldn't stand the movie. All the song intros, the modern references. My foxy lady. Just the bitterness, the anger just dripped out of my. I was like 22 in 2001. a lot of testosterone. I was mad at the chick that was ugly. I was mad at all the modern references in a medieval time movie. I was furious. And I walked out of that theater, and if you could interview me when I walked out of that theater that day after seeing that movie, I said, Madman, we're interviewing you from the future for a podcast. And what the fuck is a podcast? We're interviewing you from the future. What did you think of this movie? It's like 1 of 0 of 1 stars. It is awful. It's not a movie. It's terrible. Because I haven't come up with the 13 affectation yet. But if you ask me today, Madman, what would you rate A Knight's Tale? And I'll tell you why. Because there's Chaucer. Chaucer is my favorite character in this movie. He's the only character I like. And the rest of the movie just irritates me. And when I watched it the second time, Chaucer was the thing that redeemed it for me. In some small degree. And so it has to be noted in the scale of 13. All right. I forget that guy's name. It's Jeffrey something. Jeffrey Chaucer? No. The actor's name. Yeah, I am confusing it with actually Chaucer. Paul what?
Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's a very good actor. There are a lot of good actors in this movie, except for the ugly chick. All right?
Well, yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, Alan Tudyk or whatever. How do you say his name? I don't know. Tudyk? Tudyk? Fantastic. Wash, you know. The beloved Wash. But if you ask me today, it's 2 of 13 stars. Heath Ledger should be ashamed. All right, let's get into the news. Quick show today.
A little delayed on that last one. After the news?
Yeah, news worth knowing. Sorry. I know a lot of people don't speak ill of the dead, but I mean, it is A Knight's Tale. I did silence my phone. I figured it out. All right. Let's talk about this idiot in New York. Eric Adams warns New York City is out of room amid sanctuary struggle. People will soon be sleeping on the streets. Mayor Eric Adams stressed with a sense of urgency that New York City has run out of room as escalating migrant crisis engulfs not only the Big Apple, but other major cities across the U.S. All right, this is the quote. I said, this is why I have to talk about this. So, our hearts are endless, but our resources are not. Fairly good quote so far. What else do you have to say, Mayor Eric Adams? It's not like New York is not saying we are not a city of immigrants. It's not like New York is not saying we are not a city of immigrants. We are. That's profound. It's like jumping rope with words. We have a rich history of immigrants, but we can't take a global problem and have it become our problem. It is unfair to New Yorkers. It is unfair to migrants. Thanks to New York City's sanctuary city policies, Eric Adams faces a predicament. The city is bursting at the seams and is struggling to find places to house everyone yet. Thanks to these policies, he is unable to hand migrants who are repeat offenders over to ICE. Thanks to the right to shelter rule enacted in the 1980s, it is also legally required to house everyone. Sitting down with Fox 5 New York's Rosanna Soto for an interview featuring a Fox News special, The Sanctuary Trap, Adams pressed the point that New York City's resources are strained and that everything has reached capacity. We are not just saying we're out of room as a soundbite. We are out of room literally. People are going to eventually be sleeping on streets. He continued. What would it take for you to close the front door? Soto, who co-anchors Good Day New York, asked. Adams replied that he doesn't have the authority to tell people they can't come in, adding that even if a migrant commits crime repeatedly, New York authorities are able to turn them over to ICE. The law states that we cannot notify ICE or break the law and enforce. I cannot break the law and enforce the law. I can't deport. I can't stop people from coming in. Repeated criminal behavior. I can't report to ICE for deportation. Certain things I can't do. Anyway, so that article goes on, obviously. So, I mean, even like liberals like Eric Adams are starting to realize the problem when it comes to this immigration problem. So, I don't know. Hopefully people start waking up. Ooh, that was weird. How many people are watching? Oh, just me. All right, let's go to this next story. What have you done to my beloved country? Los Angeles private school forced to close over intrusions by homeless drug users, indecent exposure around hotel. A private school in Los Angeles serving the city's Black and Latino youth has been forced to close its doors over public safety concerns stemming from the homeless crisis, a lawsuit alleges. Academy of Media Arts founder Dana Hammond filed suit over the school's closure, claiming that there was a breach of contract when the building where the school was located, according to the Los Angeles Times, with the building where the school was located. Hammond joined Fox and Friends First Tuesday to discuss why he felt he had no choice other than to shut down the school after the students were exposed to drug use, nudity, human feces, and even intruders. There's a breach of contract and extension of the city continues to house over 400 of some of the highest needs individuals, homeless individuals that are suffering from drug illness and drug addiction. Hammond told host Carly Shimkus. My mom suffered from drugs, illness, and this is why I started this work in terms of preparing students for the future of work. And it's just been intruders after intruders, indecent exposure. Sitting in my office today at 3rd and Fig in our classrooms, our students get the chance to see Intercontinental Hotel, but they also have to deal with individuals who are nude in the back, doing drugs in the back, and it's just on and on, smoking marijuana in front of our school. Hammond decided to close the school, which was located in the LA Grand Hotel, in January. The same hotel has been used in recent years as temporary housing for homeless population, according to the Times. He claims that he found crack pipes on the drugs and drugs on the property, as well as human feces, ultimately led him to the decision to shut down the school. Despite the billion-dollar effort to get residents off the streets and back on their feet, city officials worry the homeless rate could continue to climb for a variety of reasons. Clearing Los Angeles streets of the homeless population has been one of Mayor Karen Bass's key campaign promises. Since her election in 2022, she has moved more than 21,000 people into temporary housing, according to the Associated Press. Hammond previously blamed Bass's handling of the homeless crisis as the reason why his school was forced to close. Yeah, so they're blaming them for not doing anything with the homeless population. You know, there used to be like, more like mental illness places, because a lot of these people are dealing with addiction and mental illness, and so you need a place for them to dry out at the very least. And if they still have mental illness after that, then you can treat it as well as But that means enforcing law, vagrancy laws. And people in cities like Los Angeles generally don't want to enforce the law. All right, let's talk about Megan Rapinoe. All right. Megan Rapinoe says somebody needs to check on the Christians after criticism for, quote, proof of God remark. I like even how the headline for that Fox News does with it. For proof of God remark. I guess it technically is. Needs to be in quotes. Because who has proof of God? So, just so you know, I remember, what was it, last week I talked about, or 2 weeks ago, I talked about, Tilda Swinton, Wood. I'm a Wood with her. But this is why I talk about Megan Rapinoe from time to time, because I would. I like those athletic girls that look like I could set them straight, you know what I mean? would. Anyway, so let's talk about Megan Rapinoe. It's a fine thing for a Christian to say, I know. Former U.S. women's soccer star Megan Rapinoe addressed the controversy that surrounded the final match of her career when she said that her Achilles injury was, quote, proof that there was not a God, saying this week that there's a special place in hell for those who celebrated it. During an appearance on the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast, Rapinoe opened up about the injury she suffered early in the NWSL championship match between OL Reign and New Jersey, New York Gotham on November 11th. It is sad, Rapinoe said, recalling the injury. I wish that it didn't happen. I'm just thinking about my teammates coming over, and of course it's sad. And it's also like, I don't know, it's just kind of like life. We want these perfect stories, and I'm like a controversial figure, and having people low-key celebrate it. And then also be so disingenuous about it is that part is kind of funny too. Rapinoe added. Women talk so weird. I'm like, wow, you guys are in the special place of hell that you're celebrating this. Rapinoe described the timing of her injury as tragically comedic ending. Yeah, you know who's best at that? God. It's not funny, she went on to say, but it's also how I live my life. There are so many more important things than this, and of course it's sad. I don't think it takes anything away from my career, she said. She spoke about her injury in a post-match press conference. At that time, she said getting injured in the final match of her career was proof that there wasn't a God. This is a quote, I am not a religious person or anything like that, but if there was a God, this is proof that there isn't. Rapinoe said at the time, this is effed up. It's just effed up. 6 minutes in, and I eat my Achilles. During the podcast, she responded to the backlash she faced, making the remark, adding that she was making a joke. Okay. Somebody needs to check on the Christians, she said. They're not okay. They also missed the whole joke, but okay. No. I think you missed the joke. Don't act like A. Period. Don't like A. Act like A. You're surprised by me making this joke about what happened or finding a dig. Who's it at? God, myself, religion, the world? I don't know. It's just funny. That's debatable. Humor is subjective too. And that's the point. You only think of yourself. She's 38. She announced her retirement last summer. She has won 2 World Cups titles, an Olympic gold medal. She also took home the Ballon d'Or and the Best FIFA Woman Players Award. Game top individual honors for her play in 2019. So what I'm saying is we can make like super babies, baby. You want to settle down and have a family? We could do that. I'll set you straight. We'll get you right with God. I don't know. So sometimes you'd like to have a conversation with a person like that. You ever have fantasized about conversations with people? Have dreams about talking to Gavin McInnes? No? Just me? Am I the only one that has dreams where I'm standing on top of a mountain in like sun god robes and all these naked women throwing little pickles at me? No, why am I the only one that has that dream?
Just me?
That's just me. All right, so let's, I think this is still ongoing. The Washington, D.C. Not seeing anything about update. Yeah, I got too many tabs open. Shoot. All right, so Metropolitan Police Department in D.C. Says 3 of its officers were shot Wednesday by a suspect who remained barricaded inside a home. Police Chief Pamela Smith said that officers who arrived at a residence in the 5000 block of Hannah Place around 7:30 a.m. to serve an arrest warrant for cruelty to animals were met with gunfire when they attempted to gain entry, according to Fox 5 DC. Smith reportedly added that the suspect remains barricaded inside the property and continues to fire from this location in the southeast part of the city. 3 officers have gunshot wound injuries that appear to be non-life-threatening. All 3 have been transported to an area hospital for treatment, police spokesperson said in a statement to Fox News Digital. A 4th officer has been transported to the area for minor injuries. This officer did not sustain gunshot wound injuries. You fell down? For some reason, when I watch body cam videos and the cop falls down, I get a little laugh. I'm on their side, but, you know, it's your lucky break. It's your natural one, pal. That's why gamers love the natural 20s and natural ones, because they happen. Like Ted Betteke in Breaking Bad, when she threatened him and he freaked out and ran and slid into the thing, broke his head. That stuff happens. Anyway. All right, multiple roads are now closed. Around the shooting scene as law enforcement responds to the incident. 3 nearby elementary schools are also operating on alert status, police say. This area remains an active scene, and for your safety, we ask you to stay away from the area. The Metropolitan Police Department added a post on X. Yeah, holy cow. I can't watch the video during the show. Now my computer's working. All right. Wow. Yeah, it's going to be a short show today. All right. So where else would you sell crystal meth out of if you're selling from a church? So Connecticut pastor charged with selling crystal meth out of the church rectory. Up near where I was born, a Connecticut pastor has been arrested on allegations that he sold crystal meth out of the church's rectory, police said. The Reverend of the United Methodist Church in Woodbury was taken into custody Friday after police received a tip about the drugs, authorities said. The pastor was charged with possession of narcotics with intent to sell, possession of a controlled substance, and the use of drug paraphernalia, among other charges. The Reverend has been released on $10,000 bail and was ordered to appear in Waterbury Superior Court on February 23rd. Phone and email messages were left Monday for the pastor and the church. State police said in a news release that the pastor was found in possession of crystal methamphetamine in both rock form and that had been liquefied into a hypodermic needle. Oh, Lord. Police said they arrested the pastor at the site of a reported drug deal set up by a cooperating witness who had tipped them off, and Republican American of Waterbury reported. Could you imagine some Christian junkie? He's out there, he's smoking his meth, right? And he's thinking back to those fond days at Sunday school and how he really believed, and how when he discovered like priests were sinners and you know the clergy, everybody who worked there, everyone's a sinner, and that's what turned you off, and you had enough, and you're smoking, you hit that meth one more time, and you're just like, I've had enough, man. I've had enough of these two-faced people. Some Christian meth head. So I'll talk to the cops. I'm going to help you bust this guy. It's like, I'll buy from any other meth dealer. But when you soil the church, with meth, that's a bridge too far. That's where I draw the line. And let me tell you, God bless those moral meth heads.
Missionary meth heads.
Missionary meth heads. It's kind of late in the show to be naming it. Anyways, talk about this last story. Have a little bit of a laugh. We'll be done. New Hampshire Democrat proposes official pronunciation for state capital, Concord. 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 A New Hampshire lawmaker wants to amend state law to include an official pronunciation of the capital city, one of the many communities called Concord across the country. While North Carolinians pronounce the second syllable so it rhymes with board, Concord, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and California are among others who favor something closer to, in the words of Julius Caesar, Concord. Representative Eric Gallagher, a Democrat from Concord, or the Concord? Should I say in this particular instance, should I say Concord?
Well, seeing as how you've defined it, if you say Concord, we know you're talking about the one in question.
All right. So they're going to conquer Concord. All right. So Representative Eric Gallagher, a Democrat from Concord, also wants to include an official pronunciation for New Hampshire in state law to make it clear that shire rhymes with fur and not fire. They don't want you to say New Hampshire. New Hampshire. He proposes including official pronunciations written out according to international a phonetic alphabet in section of law that lists state symbols such as official state sport, skiing, song, 10 different tunes, including Old New Hampshire. Old New Hampshire. And spider, the daring jumping spider. You have your own spider? All right, quote, there are the symbols by which you're recognized, and branding is actually something that organizations take really seriously and spend a lot of money on. Gallagher told a White House, House committee Tuesday. So that's what spend the tax dollars on? Anyway, Representative Diane Schuett, a Democrat from Pembroke, asked Gallagher if she discussed his bill with old Yankee folks who pronounced the capital in Concord, New Hampshire. Concord, New Hampshire.
Concord, New Hampshire.
Concord, New Hampshire. I'll tell you, I'm fearful that some of them might be offended if we mandated a specific pronunciation that doesn't jibe with their heritage, she said. Excellent point, to my Democrat friend. Gallagher said his bill would not be a mandate, just as other state symbols are not universally embraced. Even though the state fruit is the pumpkin, you can still grow other fruits besides pumpkins, which I'm sure our apple growers appreciate. Just got to kiss their ass on the way out. And while he acknowledged the legislation may appear trivial, Gallagher said he tries to go for things that other people aren't legislating about. You think that's a good thing? Just because people aren't going after it, trying to legislate it, you think you should? What is wrong with these people? Granted, this is a nothing issue where this is trivial semantics, if you ask me. But, and you're never going to stop people from talking how they talk. Just so you know. And I'd rather the government be doing nothing than something. All right, went on to say, with a lot of other more important issues, the trenches are already dug and people have made up their minds. But with something more minor like this one, I think we can have a chance to bring people together and actually pass on some legislation. This is important stuff. People pouring across the border. New York's not able to house everybody. New Hampshire. Redonkulous. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate it. You can also send me money through Cash App. Use the cash tag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can also follow me on social media over here. Denali Saw on Twitter. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available for digital download. If you search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's on Amazon.com, you can find my books. I got the Bunny Years of Memoir, The Ravings of a Madman, and the Exit 13 series. Check those out. I would appreciate it. And once I update the body down below, I'll have links down below. Yeah, so this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and happy Valentine's Day.